Hey everyone, Heiko and I here to talk about Monstera deliciosa seeds. I've been receiving a lot of messages about, hey, I just bought these Monstera deliciosa seeds on Etsy or eBay, and I want to know if they're the real deal before I spend all the time planting them. Today I'm going to be showing you what real Monstera deliciosa seeds look like. I actually bought a few on Etsy so I can show you what you might be receiving, and they're not real. And I'm going to talk about what the deal is with variegated Monstera deliciosa seeds, and also to answer that question, I'm going to talk a little bit about genetics and botany. So let's get to it. So right here, I have real deal Monstera deliciosa seeds that I sourced through a distributor. I believe these came from Mexico. And I have some other Monstera deliciosa seeds that came from a purchase that I made a few months ago on Etsy. So I think we should take a look at them, compare, and show you the differences between a con and the real deal. So I'm going to change the camera and you can see it a little bit better. So let's start with the first question. What do Monstera deliciosa seeds look like? Here are some that I offer on my website from time to time. This is essentially what they look like. They're about a little bit smaller than the size of a pea. They have a sort of papery texture to them, and you're going to see some green peeking through that papery texture, and then also on the end here it's going to be a little more dried and calloused. But this is essentially what most of them look like. There's some variations in the size, and that's definitely something that I've noticed, is that some of them are quite large, some of them are quite small. I'm not sure if that means anything for the growth of the plant itself, but it's just something to note. Something that you need to know about these seeds is that they are perishable. They do not have a good shelf life. If you do have some, or you have harvested some, you can put them in the refrigerator and they will last longer. Another thing is that they dry out quite quickly. So you can see this papery texture will become a little bit more wrinkled as the seed inside actually shrinks with the loss of moisture. But that's essentially what they look like, and give you a good idea. And these right here are some that I purchased just for the sake of an experiment. I bought these on Etsy, and I'll show you exactly what the listing looks like, so you can be aware that there are a lot of listings that exist like that. This one says name, Bell Farm, palm tree, turtle leaves, Monstera, variegated seeds, rare tree, mixed color, ornamental. So they're just putting tons of different keywords in there to grab the search engines, especially on Etsy. I bought these probably for like $5. The quantity says 100 seeds. There's no way that you would buy 100 Monstera deliciosa seeds for $5. There's not enough in the market, so that price actually isn't justifiable. So it's too good to be true, essentially. So that's a good indication that you might be buying fake seeds. Let me open this a little more. Ooh, and you can tell immediately there is a huge difference than what I bought right here. Like I said, these are the real ones, these are the fake ones. These almost look like popcorn kernels or something similar. They're very, very hard. You can tell, very, very different. Different coloring. I have no idea what these are, but they're not Monstera deliciosa seeds. Another indicator, oh my god, I'm making a mess. Another indicator that you may not have bought real authenticated seeds is that right here it says that they are variegated seeds. So I'm going to go into a little bit more about why that is a good indicator that you are buying fake seeds. Is that true variegated Monstera deliciosa seeds are very, very rare, and I will talk about that in a second. So it does look professional. It's in this nice little container. There's like a little pull thing that makes it easier for you to open up. They have a nice little tag here. These came from, I believe, China. There's a lot of vendors out there that do post fake seeds, and they make money until they are essentially caught. I did also buy, just for the sake of general interest, it says Bell Farm, Monster Obliqua, Evergreen hybrid seeds, ornamental, high germination at 15 to 25 degrees. So let's see what's in here. And look at that. more of the same exact seeds. And this is supposed to be Monstera obliqua. Obviously that's not a real thing. That plant is so incredibly rare, but I did want to buy this just to even see. I spent money on you guys just to show you what kind of crap you're gonna get from Etsy and eBay. Useless. One other thing I wanted to tell you about is that there are a lot of sellers on Etsy that are actually taking my photos and other photos of real seeds and using them for their purposes. They're actually, and I'm going to show you a few examples of that. But they're actually also taking my blog posts and using the content there. So you just have to be very, very smart about when you are purchasing these things on Etsy. And I really feel strongly that Etsy is one of the biggest problems that exists out there for seed growing, is because there is very little verification of these seeds. So just you have to be the one that's doing the policing and be very, very vigilant. And I've also had to message many people to tell them to stop using my images. So the next question I get a lot is, hey, can I grow a Variegated Monstera deliciosa plant from seed? I understand why people are asking that question, because that plant is very expensive right now. It's kind of hard to find, and it would make a lot of sense and be a lot easier if you could grow a lot of these plants from seed. But the answer is conceivably yes, but practically no. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But first, I want to show you an image of a Variegated Monstera deliciosa fruit. And this image comes from the Barefoot Gardener on Instagram. So give her a follow. She has really wonderful photos and really wonderful garden adventures. But I like this photo because it shows you that the fruit is actually variegated along with all the leaves as well. So you would see that photo and you would think, great, I can harvest the seeds and I can have hundreds or at least tens of Variegated Monstera deliciosas. But the answer is a little more complicated, because the fruit itself, the flower that eventually turns into fruit, has to be pollinated and fertilized. And that has to be done by cross-pollination. In order to explain this, we're going to have to look a little bit at genetics and understand how these traits are passed on. So in the case of a Variegated Monstera deliciosa, the trait of variegation is a mutation. Is a type of chimeral variegation, and this trait is passed on to its seeds. But the problem is that it is a recessive trait. So normal, non-variegated is a dominant trait. This is the trait that the plant naturally wants to revert to. So if you see a Variegated Monstera deliciosa with a fruit, that does not mean that the seeds themselves are going to be variegated. It is possible that if you cross these two, you could eventually end up with true Variegated deliciosa seeds. But I'm going to show you that it's kind of complicated. So I'm going to change the camera again and show you on some paper. So the creation of seeds is a form of sexual reproduction for plants, and because of Gregor Mendel, we know that there are dominant traits and recessive. Now these traits exist in the genes, and through cross-pollination, they're passed on to their offspring. Okay, so here are the two parents. You have a normal Monstera and a Variegated Monstera. So the possibilities that exist for them are going to be a dominant and a recessive, a dominant and another recessive, a dominant and another recessive, and a dominant and another recessive. So it's possible if you cross their children and have some Monstera incest, you would end up with a child that would have a fully dominant, normal, non-variegation. You would have one more that would be a carrier, but still show normal variegation. You would have another carrier, but it would still show normal variegation. And finally, you would have 1 in 4 chance of having a variegated plant. And that's from 2 generations right here. Or I guess it would be 3 generations. The weird thing is that you could cross 2 non-variegated specimens right here and end up with a variegated variety. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Essentially, you would have a normal variegated, they would have children. Next generation, there'd be a possibility for one being a fully variegated variety. So I know that was a lot to just tell you that finding real variegated Monstera deliciosa seeds is very, very rare. And if you do find them and they do breed true, you are very lucky, because 99% of the time they're going to be fake seed. So what is the real way by which we propagate this plant? And that's actually through vegetative reproduction. In this case, we're doing stem cuttings. And what you end up with when you do stem cuttings is an actual clone of the mother plant. That's the main way that we propagate these plants, so that's why you really won't see variegated Monstera deliciosa seeds. It's helpful if you want a very specific plant like this guy right here, and you want to make sure you're going to get a variegated plant. That's the best way to do it, not through seeds. But you are creating essentially clones, and a pathogen that kills one clone can also kill all the others. But that's just a long, drawn out explanation, and to tell you that if you do find variegated Monstera deliciosa seeds, there is a high chance that they're not real. So just be very savvy out there when you are purchasing plants that are especially in high demand, and know that stem cuttings are probably the best way to purchase a variegated plant to ensure that you are receiving the authentic plant. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it provided a little bit of interest beyond just showing you what Monstera seeds look like. If you learned anything, be sure to tell me that in the comments. If you want me to elaborate on anything else, I would love to. Just tell me what you're interested in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.